There are wars you can see, armies moving, missiles launching, borders burning, and then there are wars you never notice. Fought in silence, won without headlines, because some of the most important battles in modern history were fought by people whose names you will never know. In India, that shadow war has a name: Research and Analysis Wing. To understand why this agency exists, you have to go back to a moment of shock. India faces a crushing defeat in the Sino-Indian War. The problem wasn't just the battlefield, it was blindness. India didn't know enough about enemy positions, intentions, or even the scale of the threat. Intelligence failures weren't just mistakes, they were national vulnerabilities. At the time, India's intelligence system was fragmented, overstretched, and mostly focused internally through the Intelligence Bureau. External threats weren't being watched closely enough. And that realization changed everything. 6 years later, in 1968, under Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, a decision was made quietly. India would build a dedicated foreign intelligence agency. Not public, not political, invisible. That agency would become the Research and Analysis Wing, or simply RAW. Its first chief? A man who preferred silence over recognition. Rameshwar Nath Kao. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a politician. He was something far more dangerous in the world of intelligence: patient, strategic, and willing to operate in the shadows. From the very beginning, RAW was designed differently. No public reports, no press briefings, no official acknowledgement of most operations. Its mission was simple to say, but nearly impossible to execute. Know everything, say nothing. And soon, the world would see what that meant. South Asia is on the brink of transformation. In East Pakistan, a political crisis spirals into violence. Millions of refugees begin pouring into India. The region is unstable, volatile, and on the edge of war. But before the first major battle begins, something else is already happening. Quietly, RAW is working behind the scenes, training resistance fighters, building networks, gathering intelligence, supporting what would become the Mukti Bahini, the guerrilla force fighting for independence. This wasn't just espionage, it was strategic shaping of a war before the war officially began. When open conflict finally erupted in the Indo-Pakistani War of 1971, India wasn't stepping into chaos blindly. It had already prepared the battlefield. The result? A decisive victory. And the birth of a new nation, Bangladesh. For RAW, it was proof of concept. Invisible actions could create visible history. But not every operation would be so clean. As the decades moved forward, the Cold War intensified. Global alliances shifted. Proxy conflicts emerged. RAW expanded its reach. Across South Asia, into the Middle East, beyond. Its role evolved from wartime support to constant surveillance, watching rivals like Pakistan and China, tracking militant networks, monitoring nuclear developments. Because by the late 20th century, the threats had changed. Wars weren't always declared anymore. They simply began, and sometimes they unfolded in ways the public never fully understood. Take the rise of militancy in Punjab during the 1980s, or the complex shadowy conflict in Kashmir, or the covert tensions during operations like Operation Meghdoot. Behind each of these moments, intelligence played a role, sometimes preventing escalation, sometimes failing to stop it. Because intelligence work is rarely perfect. It operates in uncertainty, incomplete data, human sources who can lie or disappear, and consequences that only become clear years later. By the 1990s, a new kind of battlefield had emerged: nuclear. India's strategic landscape changed dramatically during events like the Pokhran II nuclear tests. In a world where a single miscalculation could trigger catastrophe, intelligence became even more critical. RAW wasn't just gathering information anymore. It was helping maintain balance, deterrence, silence, in a world that could explode. But here's the paradox. The more successful an intelligence agency is, the less you hear about it. Failures make headlines. Successes disappear into classified files. And RAW, by design, remains one of the most secretive agencies in the world. No official public record of most operations, no confirmed missions. Only fragments, speculation, and the occasional declassified hint. Yet its influence is everywhere, if you know where to look. In diplomatic decisions, in military preparedness, in crises that never escalated because someone somewhere already knew what was coming. That's the nature of shadow warfare. It's not about dramatic victories. It's about preventing disasters that never happen. Today, the world is more connected than ever, but also more unpredictable. Cyber warfare, satellite surveillance, artificial intelligence. The battlefield has expanded beyond borders into data, signals, and algorithms. And agencies like RAW have had to evolve again. From spies in foreign capitals to analysts tracking digital footprints across continents. Different tools. Because in the end, intelligence isn't really about secrets. It's about foresight, about understanding what could happen before it does, and acting quietly so others never have to see the consequences. You may never know the names of the people involved. You may never hear the full stories. But their decisions, their risks, their invisible actions have shaped the world you live in today. If you enjoy stories like this, where the hidden side of history reveals the world we live in, subscribe for more cinematic explorations of the past, because sometimes the most important events in history are the ones that were never meant to be seen.